Good evening, glad that you are watching your channel of choice on the news tonight. Tonight, striking KQ pilots ordered back to work.
Can we obey the court order in the meantime and go back to work?
Employment and Labor Relations Court has directed the management of the national carrier not to take any disciplinary action against the striking pilots, awaiting the outcome of a case. The 2010 Constitution faces an imminent attack as talks of getting rid of presidential term limits dominates political discussions.
Any attempt to create a life presidency in this country, like the one we see obtaining in Uganda, shall be resisted vigorously.
Cattle rustling, corruption and extrajudicial killings top of the agenda for Inspector General of Police nominee Japheth Koome, who faced lawmakers to be vetted for the role.
I'll come back to this committee so that livestock clustering is treated as a terrorist act. That way, any livestock lot or we shall arrest will go to jail for life.
Catherine Simaloi is our sign language interpreter. Good evening, I'm Abubakar Abdullahi. Welcome to the broadcast. To our top story tonight, and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya lawmakers have castigated President William Ruto's administration over what they called unwarranted roadside declaration by government officials. The MPs have cited an alleged lack of leadership and direction at the height of crucial issues which need the government's intervention. Flora Limuki begins our broadcast tonight.
On Sunday, November 6th, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen fulfilled his pledge of making public the contents of the standard gauge railway contract, which has remained under lock and keys for years. However, this has elicited mixed reactions from a section of the political divide, as some claim that Murkomen delivered a half-baked contract with an aim to excite the masses.
Out of the blues again, with no prompting or demand by the public whatsoever, came out with what he claimed to be the contract between the government of Kenya and the People's Republic of China over the SGR project. The so-called contract turned out to be no contract at all.
The SGR deal is a 20-year contract loan with a 7-year grace period. Kenya is supposed to repay the amount in 156 months, that is in 13 years. Despite releasing the contract, Murkomen now finds himself in a compromising position as he did not deliver the commercial contract between Kenya Railways Corporation and China Road and Bridge Corporation. This is because of the non-disclosure agreement between the two parties.
It is equally not clear what the CES intended to achieve and whether the decision to publicize this so-called contract was a decision of the cabinet or a product of personal excitement.
What we have is we have a one-man show who is controlling every ministry, who is directing everything, and is doing that through roadside declaration. So the era of roadside declaration has come back.
The disclosure of the SGR contract now puts President William Ruto, Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen, and former Treasury CS Henry Rotich in jeopardy. President Ruto was the deputy president in 2014. Henry Rotich was the Treasury CS, and CS Kipchumba Murkomen was the majority leader in the Senate then.
The buck stops with him, and he had better hold the country together and make his men shut up. We are tired of very many words, and what we want is work, work, and work.
In the contract which helped former President Uhuru Kenyatta build what was Kenya's most expensive infrastructure project, Kenya was bound to keep the details of the deal secret. Flora Limuki, TV 47.
Moving on, the Senate Health Committee today met Kiambu County Governor Kimani Wamatangi And the Thika Level 5 hospital management, in a bid to unravel the turn of events that led to the death of Travis Maina, a 2-year-old who died after sustaining injuries from a fork jembe lodged in his skull. And as our reporter Elizabeth Atieno now reports, Thika Level 5 hospital management has decried the poor healthcare systems in the facility, which has made it impossible for its medics to perform some vital medical procedures.
It is in this homestead located in Kilimambogo area, Kiambu County, where a shocking and tragic incident ensued on the 10th of October 2022, when 2-year-old Travis Maina was hit with a fork jembe that lodged in his skull. His mother, Judith Mudhoni, then rushed him to Thika Level 5 hospital for treatment, but that was impossible considering the sorry state of the facility. And now the Thika Level 5 hospital management today appeared before the Senate Health Committee to give a detailed explanation of what transpired on the day Travis was admitted.
The 10th of October 2022, I was consulted as a third on-call surgical department on the above-named patient, Travis Maina, who had been brought to the Accident and Emergency Department at Thika Level 5 Hospital, having sustained a penetrative head injury by a forked hoe. He was noted to be stable on physical examination and started on mannitol, phenytoin, and analgesia while at the Accident and Emergency Department by my second on-call, a surgical resident, Dr. Lillian.
The child required a CT scan of the head, which was done at 3:30 p.m. on 10th of October 2022 by the radiographer who was on duty, Susan Karimi Dere.
According to doctors on duty on that fateful day, Travis was stable on arrival, but they could not commence the surgical procedure due to the risky nature of the injury and the lack of vital medical equipments and personnel needed in the facility.
And this will require that you have both the neurosurgeon with a operating microscope to be able not to remove anything that the fork jembe did not damage, but remove only what was destroyed and damaged by the fork jembe.
At that moment, the child was stable, but the stability was depending on the fact that those fork jembe prongs were in place, upon removal of which would have provoked other may have deteriorated the condition of the child.
We should be able to introspect and have better dialogue on this question of having doctors punctually and available on call.
Be allowed to hire other doctors on contract for the period the other doctors on study leave. That is why I'm telling you, these fellows at Avia should stop being jittery. We are yet to start. And people must take their responsibility. And that is why you have counties, you look at payroll, we have so many staff, but the staff are not present because they are on study leave. 2, those staff cannot be denied to progress in their career because as they go on study leave, that is how they become consultants.
At 4 p.m. on that very day, the Thika Level 5 hospital management decided to transfer Travis to Kenyatta National Hospital for the surgical procedure. But details have since emerged that the patient was not accompanied by any nurse from the facility.
In this situation, there should have been a nurse, but what I can state is that our teams are also as pre-hospital providers, are equally qualified. Whenever we have our paramedics, they are equally at almost the level of a nurse.
The late Travis arrived at the Kenyatta National Hospital on Tuesday, the 11th of October at 6:05 p.m. but was allegedly neglected by medics for hours as the family could not raise the 20,500 Kenya shillings needed for surgery.
Ule daktari nilikuta huko alikuwa tu anapaguza meza, hata kuangalia mwenye ameingia.
Mimi kwangu niliona kama huko Kenyatta wangeshughulika, huyo mtoto hangekufa juu alikuwa anazungumza vizuri.
However, doctors argue that Travis needed to be thoroughly examined before any surgical procedure was performed on him.
The bleed was really deep inside the baby's brain. It was on the left side, and you can imagine the size of a baby's head. And then it had gone in 4.25 centimeters deep. So I think even with the timely intervention, having penetrated the brain matter, there was something that was going to be lost.
The Senate Health Committee vowed to review budgetary allocations for level 5 hospitals across the country. Travis died on the 12th of October at Kenyatta National Hospital and was buried on the 18th in Kilimambogo, Kiambu County. Travis Miner's tragic demise has laid bare the deplorable state of healthcare services across the devolved units. And now the Senate Health Committee has vowed to investigate on the matter and has assured Kenyans that no Kenyan will be left behind in the implementation of the universal health coverage. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
The Employment and Labor Relations Court has ordered Kenya Airline Pilots Association to resume to work on Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. unconditionally. Consequently, Justice Anne Mwaure ordered Kenya Airways to allow the pilots to resume their duties without harassment or intimidation, and intimidating them, especially taking disciplinary action amongst them pending the determination of a case. Mike Agwongo has the details.
Kenya Airways pilots will resume work on Wednesday after they were ordered to end their 4-day strike that had grounded the airline's flights, disrupting travel for thousands of passengers and causing hundreds of tons of perishable produce to rot.
The respondent members, and especially the Kenya Airways pilots, to resume their duties as pilots by 6 a.m. on 9th November 2022 unconditional.
Judge Anne Mwaure said she understood that there was a big conflict between the KQ management and a total of 388 pilots. But the country exists because its citizens obey the law, instructing them to return to work by 6 a.m. Wednesday morning in an effort to avoid a 300 million shillings loss per day. The court's order was issued after several hours of consultations between the airline and the pilots, which did not bear fruits. The court wanted Kenya Airline Pilots Association (KALPA), with a total of 388 members, to show the reasons why it should not be punished following a violation of the court order. The October 31st order issued by Judge James Rika required the pilots to shelve their strike plans. However, KALPA went on with industrial action on Saturday, causing the cancellation of several flights that left thousands of passengers dumbfounded.
The respondents are given until Friday, 11th November 2022 to file their reply to the applications dated 28th November 2022.
The judge also told KQ management to allow the pilots to perform their duties without harassing, intimidating, or taking any disciplinary action against them, pending the determination of the suit.
To allow the pilots to perform their duties without harassing them or intimidating them, and especially by not taking any disciplinary action against any of them pending the hearing and determination of this suit.
Speaking to the press after the issuance of the order, Advocate Levi Munyeri, representing KALPA, noted that the legal team will talk to the pilots to comply with the court order. Munyeri noted that there are several challenges they have brought to the attention of the court on the pilot's state of mind and whether they can be able to work on Wednesday.
Flights can resume, but again the welfare of the pilots is also protected in the meantime until the court has had a chance to deal with the matter conclusively.
There are several challenges that we brought to the attention of the court here and in chambers, including their state of mind and whether they can be able to work tomorrow. Those things we are going to look at them.
The pilots have been given until Friday to file their responses and serve Kenya Airways within 7 days. Kenya Airways and the union, together with the pilots, have been barred from commenting the case in the media. In a quick rejoinder, Kenya Airways CEO Alan Kilavuka thanked the court for what he termed as expeditious ruling that now allows KQ to resume its normal operations. Kilavuka said KQ is committed in complying with the court's direction. Further, the group's CEO apologized to the KQ passengers and cargo customers for the inconvenience and disruption, assuring that they will do anything possible to return to normalcy in the shortest time. The case will be mentioned on 21st November to confirm the progress on compliance and progress of the mediation. Mike, GOtv 47, Nairobi.
And my lady.
Thank you, Mike Kagwongo, for that report. Tonight, the man poised to succeed Hilary Mutyambai as the country's next Inspector General of Police, Japheth Koome, waged war on cattle rustlers whom he described as terrorists, while pledging to tame endemic corruption in the National Police Service. Koome, who appeared for vetting before a joint parliamentary committee on national security, was also hard-pressed on extrajudicial killings and police conduct during his reign as Nairobi County Commander. Our senior reporter, Apollo Kamau, has the details.
I, Japheth Koome Nchebere.
With 31 years of experience as a career police officer, having risen through the ranks from a constable to the Inspector General of Police nominee, the man expected to succeed Hilary Mutyambai at Vigilance House spoke tough on cattle rustlers, waging war on the warlords who finance raiders after MPs from the North Rift raised questions on a recurring tragedy that continues to claim lives.
I'll come back to this committee so that livestock clustering is treated as a terrorist act. That way, any livestock lot or where we shall arrest will go to jail for life.
In what could mark a radical departure from his predecessor, Koome, if approved, pledged to fight graft among traffic officers, terming it as ugly and unacceptable, saying he will reward Kenyans who report corrupt officers. Roadblocks, a key conduit of graft, he promised will have to be registered while seeking to operationalize county policing authority.
Incidentally, we have very good police officers in this country. 98% very professional, patriotic, is only 2%. Very professional, doing very good job. Therefore, Honorable Gunja, I have the critical mass. I have the critical mass to change that 2%.
With human rights groups present during the vetting and part of the police working group, Koome was taken to task on extrajudicial killings during his tenure as Nairobi County Commander when police raided Mathare and the University of Nairobi in 2017. Still, unmanned explosives at the Kiganjo Police Training College that led to the deaths and injuries of civilians also cropped up.
The matter was dealt with to logical conclusion by a court of law. I was not found culpable.
If approved by Parliament, a lot lies on Koome's shoulders, from ending endemic corruption in the service to fighting runway insecurity, while leading a service that is in dire need of reforms. Apol Kamau, TV 47, outside Parliament buildings.
Moving on, proposals by Fafi lawmaker Mohamed Saleh to do away with the presidential term limits have elicited mixed reactions from politicians across the political divide. And as Elizabeth Mutuku now reports, Kenya Kwanza lawmakers have distanced themselves from the proposal, while those from Azimio coalition have asked the ruling coalition to avoid sideshows and deliver for Kenyans.
With 56 days at the House on the Hill, talk of getting rid of presidential term limits, which, if materialized, could reward President William Ruto with up to 4 terms, dominated political discussions on Tuesday. Fafi legislator Mohamed Saleh now proposing that the focus should not be on term limits, but the age limit for those aspiring to lead the country.
The CEO of Cooperative Bank has been there for a long time, but has not been removed. Why? Because he's performing well, the bank is going well. Go to Equity, the same. So these are corporate itself, though it's a state different, but if you are performing well, you should not. Assuming that now the current government, we came in when the government, the economy is at a state we cannot talk of. We cannot implement those of the plan because of the debts and the amount of resources we have. So assume that
the legislator who has proposed the age of candidates to be capped at 75 years of age has been accused of attempting to roll back the gains as provided for in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Others have, however, claimed that the first-time legislator was not presenting his personal views, or those he says are from his colleagues in the UDA party, but could have been sent by unseen forces who see what the reactions could be like.
Ourselves as politicians, you send a small squirrel to test for you the waters, whether there is maize in the granary. We know each other. That's what the young man was doing. But I want to advise them that they can postpone that for another day. We know it is coming, and we are waiting for it. We know one day, before this term ends, that matter will come, either through parliament or through any other means.
Years of the records that have been set by his close friend Yoweri Museveni across the border. So, but you want to caution really, this early in the day, even though we know they are simply testing the waters, we want to caution very, very strongly that any attempt to create a life presidency in this country, like the one we see obtaining in Uganda, shall be resisted vigorously.
Even the legislator insists that the proposal enjoyed the support of legislators from United Democratic Coalition. Others within the party have vehemently distanced themselves from the scheme, with Majority Whip in the National Assembly Sylvanus Osoro further suggesting that the disciplinary action could be taken on the member.
Got a mile of challenges. He's never even come to this house to ask me, to be a member. He's never come to this office to even ask me to be a member of a certain committee, especially even the blue economy and water or anything, so that he can work for his people who are suffering, people who are struggling with hunger. So that is not the position of the party. And I speak that with authority, that there is no party.
That was his own personal decision, and that was his own personal mind. As a party, we are very clear that what we intend right now is to make sure that Kenyans have cheap food products. Kenyans get back to where we are, because right now the prices of food are high, the prices of commodities are high. We don't want to engage.
As the proposal to scrap off term limit for the president continues to raise brows within the political class, it is a requirement to have a referendum, as this will alter the government structure. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47 Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
Now, the county government of Nairobi is facing numerous challenges to implement its mandate barely 2 months in office. One of the major problems affecting the county government's performance is the health sector, which faces a number of challenges. This story was produced by Andrew Juma.
Barely 2 months after taking the oath of office,
Before we have standing, ladies and gentlemen, as the governor-elect,
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja is now staring at an ailing health sector, which has for a long time been on the headlines due to complaints from the public.
Yes.
2 months ago, the Nairobi boss made an impromptu visit to Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital, where the situation was worrying. The governor promising to take steps to solve the matter.
We must do our best to protect life and to give the people of Nairobi the service that they deserve. I want to give that assurance that I will not rest until that is done.
Both Mama Lucy and Kenyatta National Hospitals have been on the spot due to alleged negligence that led to loss of lives, attracting public anger.
I am wondering why this hospital did not even give a referral to Kenyatta. I will be very interested when the management is here, Mr. Chairman.
The Nairobi health workers are now requesting to meet the head of state, President William Ruto, to share with him some of the challenges affecting the facilities.
Rais wa Kenya ni mtu mzuri. When he was campaigning, he campaigned on a platform of inaitwaje bottom up. Sidio? If you look at the location of Mama Lucy, hata ukiangalia mahali iko, si ni ya masafara na mahasla. So the safaras and the hustlers, if the Senate, for example, want to say you want to close Mama Lucy, what are they? Which sign are they showing the president? They are not supporting the agenda of the president on the health issues.
And these are management issues which start from the president. And my colleague said very well. We start from the president, come to our Senate, and even to respective county governments. So let's not blow this matter out of proportion. Let's continue strengthening the systems we have. And more so, what I said in terms of health financing. Let's ensure that we finance our healthcare systems to the required levels so that we can get the services we so demand.
The Nairobi members of County Assembly on Tuesday held a consultative meeting with civil society organizations trying to find solutions to the matter.
Moving on, the exercise to nominate members of parliament to the East Africa Legislative Assembly will kick off tomorrow, with independent candidates expected to appear physically. Notable names that lost in the last general election have been featured in the list, as Paul Kirobi now reports.
The battle to represent Kenya at the East African Legislative Assembly will kick off tomorrow, as key politicians who lost in the previous elections, as well as their relatives, have been proposed to battle it out with others. Candidates will by Wednesday evening know whether they will be on the ballot or not.
It's information which is which out of many queries from the public, we thought it is good to clarify so that everybody knows that they have a fair chance to be nominated to vie for the Yela position.
The position has attracted a huge number, more so from the two big coalitions, Azimio la Umoja and Kenya Kwanza. Kenya Kwanza attracting at least 145 people, while Azimio la Umoja attracted at least 96 applicants. Out of this, at least 15 from Kenya Kwanza are likely to be on the ballot, while 12 are from Azimio la Umoja. Parliamentary political parties from the two coalitions will have 27 nominees, being 3 times the total country quota of 9 for consideration by both houses. The distribution of the 9 slots is dependent on the parliamentary strength of the parties in the House, meaning Kenya Kwanza will have more representatives as compared to Azimio. Already, the Senate and the National Assembly have established a joint committee to steer the nomination process tomorrow before the publication of the original list. Among the notable names likely to feature in the list is former Kieni lawmaker Kanini Kega, who lost in the last election, the sister to former President Uhuru Kenyatta Christina Pratt, KANU chairman Gideon Moi, the son to Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka Kennedy Musyoka, who is seeking another term in the Yala, Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni, Fatuma Gedi, Nick Salat and Suleiman Shabal.
But the slots provided as 27 are only from political party. There is a case in East African Court of Justice from one partner state where members who applied as independent candidates claimed that their partner state did not give them a chance. That's why we have called you, so that those who have applied as independent do not imagine that they are already locked out.
To the 16 independent candidates, thorough vetting will be done according to the rules of Yala to establish whether or not a candidate meets the requirements for elections set out under Article 52 of the Treaty for the establishment of the East African Community.
They are not locked out. We already received 16 and we expect to receive more. So long as they meet the threshold, they will find their names in the ballot.
The election for the 9 individuals to represent Kenya in Yala will be by secret ballot on November 17th in Parliament. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul Kirobi, for that. You're watching Kenya's fastest growing television. Time for us to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be back with more news after this break.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Discover a world full of opportunities, a place to build your skill and see the world in a different perspective. Sensei Institute of Technology is the home to the best practical courses, giving you hands-on experience to handle the world. We offer courses such as plant operator, plant mechanics, driving and trailer driving, CCTV and alarm installation, solar installation, electrical installation, motorcycle, motor vehicle mechanics and electronics, building construction technology, welding fabrication, roads and dam construction, hospitality courses, and many more. For you to join us, ensure you have your national ID card and be ready to enjoy the ride.
Remember, my skills, my future at Sensei.
Sensei College, my skills, my future.
You are watching TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's get to more news. And after a reported shocking incident days ago of 2 children who took a meal of chameleon soup and potato in Kerusoi due to hunger, the situation continues to worsen in the country, with some residents in Kajiado now said to be feeding on carcasses due to lack of food. Collins Lusweti with that story.
It is an incident that traumatized the nation days ago after reports of 2 siblings from Kuresoi North constituency ate a meal of chameleons due to hunger. Now the situation in the country continues to worsen, with starving residents in Kajiado County feeding on dead animals due to the dire situation caused by drought.
Ile anaanguka anachinja, anatoa hiyo nyama na shamusha na kula. Nasema wacha tuchinje hii tukule sababu hakuna namna leo.
In most parts affected by drought, animals and especially livestock continue to die in large numbers, with prices dropping below 2,000 Kenya shillings for the dying animals due to their poor state of health. The starving residents are now worried that eating dead animals could have severe effects on their health.
Tutapata magonjwa sana. Shauri ukiona sasa watu kama wanakula ng'ombe inakufa, hii ng'ombe tujui kama zinakufa ugonjwa ama njaa, na mtu atasakula hiyo kitu na aanze kuumwa na tumbo. Sasa itasatudhuru sisi kama wanadamu.
An ungovernmental organization that visited the area to distribute food to locals described the situation in the area as terrible.
Hatukuwa tunaamini jinsi mambo yalivyo. Tulikuwa tunadhani ya kwamba ni msaha tu. Tukadhani ya kwamba watu wa televisheni wakati mwingine waweza kuwa wako na kinaya, wakati mwingine wanaweka chumvi kidogo. Lakini jambo la kushangaza ni ya kwamba tulipoingia tu kilomita 1 kutoka barabara ya Namanga kuja sehemu hii, tulikuta mang'ombe wamekufa, wametapakaa zaidi ya 300. Na wananchi, jambo la kushangaza ni kwamba wananchi wa area hii wanakula hizo ng'ombe.
The organization is now calling on the national and county governments as well as other well-wishers to move in and rescue the situation by distributing food.
Na wametuomba tuombe wananchi wengine, mashirika mengine yasiyo ya kiserikali, mnapowatembelea muwatembelee tafadhali.
In the same county, a 14-year-old child fainted due to hunger in Epolos area. The area has been ravaged with hunger for a long time now, with residents losing livestock on a daily basis.
Asubuhi ameamuka, mama, abi mahindi ameshamuka. Hakuna mahindi. Ni moyo tu. Mtoro omelia paka umesimika.
Collins Lusweti, TV47.
Moving on, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu has clarified the ongoing debate about abolishing university funding, saying the government is committed to supporting institutions of higher learning and that it has already allocated a capitation of 50 billion shillings meant for university education. And as our senior education affairs reporter Sharon Baranga reports, Machogu now says his earlier sentiments on the same were taken out of context.
Forever, solidarity forever.
A day after the university's academic staff union expressed its disappointment at Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu on his views about the government not funding universities, Machogu has responded saying what he said was misreported.
And I want to make a clarification. Nobody ever said, I repeat it here, that university funds are going to be done away with. No.
He then gave a breakdown of monies the institutions of higher learning will be receiving from the government.
Allocated a capitation of 50 billion for university education and another 15.8 billion to the higher education loans board. 50 billion for university, and I want to assure our universities that the 50 billion and the other 15 billion to the higher loans education board, this is ring-fenced, and nobody is interfering with that money. Even the cost-cutting measures that are being undertaken with other sectors of the economy for education, all the funds as allocated by Parliament are ring-fenced.
Recently, the Universities Fund revealed that public universities in Kenya have debts amounting to over 56 billion shillings. Collectively, the institutions of higher learning owe the Kenya Revenue Authority, pension schemes, part-time lecturers and SACCOs, among others.
Government is supporting universities, and the government will be able to continue supporting universities through capitation and even infrastructural funds that the government does support universities each and every year. We have said as a government, if it is money for research, we want it increased from 0.8% to 2%.
Even though public universities will be receiving monies from the government, Machogu's advice to the institutions of higher learning seems to be borrowed from the same script from the Universities Fund, and that is, the learning institutions should look for alternative ways to mobilize resources, something UWASU is opposed to.
But we are also asking, and this is what we agreed when I was in Dedan Kilimati University, that if there are other ways that we can also be able to generate income for our universities, why not? Because universities are also supposed to indulge in research and innovation.
And the minister was saying that universities should be innovative. And what we are asking, why can't other state departments also be innovative, so that they generate their funds to facilitate their activities? Why only public universities? Is the Ministry of Education also innovative?
Here are some reactions to Machogu's statement from Parliament.
How can somebody say that they are even thinking of not funding our universities when the funding that is going to the universities is so menial, is not even enough? Our lecturers cannot do research, and a country is developed through research and innovation.
A statement that was issued by the current CS Education, stating that the government will no longer fund universities and that universities should find a way to fund themselves. Be that as it may, we also advise Kenyan taxpayers not to pay taxes until the government finds an alternative way of sourcing for the funds.
Egerton and Moi universities have been pointed out to be among the most ailing institutions of higher learning in the country financially. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Still on matters education, and as the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms Task Force tasked with evaluating the competency-based curriculum prepares to wrap up its work, focus now shifts to grade 6 students expected to sit for their national examinations slated to be held on November 28th. Lucky Heriano with the views on CBC from various counties.
Support CBC.
With less than 10 days to go before the Presidential Working Group on Education Reforms submits its report on educational reforms, mixed reaction from different quarters continue to come to the fore regarding the new competence-based curriculum system.
So managements for the institutes, we have 5.
Parents have insisted that the new curriculum will burden them if the government will not streamline a few issues surrounding the curriculum.
People, they have actually, majority of them, 80%, they are saying the curriculum is good. The CBC is quite okay, but with a rejoinder that ABCD should be done.
When it comes to the funding of the education,
that the capitation that was there 10 years ago is the same capitation that the schools are running on, and that becomes a problem because there's inflation. Materials are costing double what they were costing in the last 10 years, so it becomes a problem procuring the same materials with the same money that was given like 10 years ago.
Parents have insisted that the new curriculum will burden them if the government will not streamline a few issues surrounding the curriculum.
We want the existing teachers to teach those programs, which is practically not possible. We are talking about the realignment of the learning loads to the levels of learning, so that of course we do not have students or pupils being overloaded.
But as much as the new curriculum is said to be expensive, parents have been urged to be patient with the system as the government continues to receive inputs from across the country. A final report is expected to be submitted on 18th this month. National Parents Association Chairman David Obuhasa has called on parents to be patient on the new system and not to complain, even as the government looks for win-win solution on the issue. He argues that many countries have embraced the system and it has worked.
So parents should believe in CPC because it's a system of education that is there to stay. It's a system of education that is going to change the lives of these children as far as job marketing is concerned. Not only in Kenya, all over the world. Because many countries in the world, the system of education at the primary school level is CPC. So Kenya cannot be an exception. We have to allow this, and we have to embrace this. Education in Kenya is said to be free. But we don't know how free the free that's being talked about is. How free is the education in Kenya? So parents want to hear from the government that is it going to be free, completely free, where the parents will just take the children to school and have them back at home. And the government has to meet all the costs.
Grade 6 students under the curriculum are expected to sit for their national examination on November 28th. Their fate lying on the final report that will be submitted to President William Ruto. Lakiriano reporting for TV 47.
Now, following yesterday's tragedy in Tasia, Embakasi, where a 7-story building collapsed, different plans to rescue persons suspected to be trapped in the debris have kicked off. Speaking to the media, Embakasi East OCPD Masai Makau has assured the residents that they are fully in charge.
Asante sana. Yangu tu ni kwa ufupi, mnamo mwendo wa saa 10:30 jana, nduru zilisikika hapa karibu na Tasia Police Post, ambapo polisi walitoka nje na kuangalia, wakakuta ya kwamba hili jengo liko nyuma yetu, jengo la orofa zaidi ya 6 lilikuwa limeporomoka, limeshuka chini. Hili jengo upande wa chini kuna biashara kadhaa zilikuwa pale, iko saloon, iko maduka, iko vitu mingi zilikuwa pale chini, na kulikuwa na wananchi. Lakini kwa bahati njema, wengi wa wale walikuwa wanafanya biashara upande wa chini walihisi, wakasikia mshtuko wa hiyo nyumba na wakatoroka. So hawakuweza kuumizwa na hiyo nyumba. Ndio nyumba iliposhuka chini walikuwa wote wametoroka. Lakini kuamkia leo tumepata habari ya kwamba kuna watu wanasema, watu kama wawili wanasema ya kwamba hawajaona watu yao. Mmoja inaaminika ni mtu alikuwa anafanya kazi ndani, kazi ya kuchomelea, na mwingine ni inasemekana ni mama ambaye anauzia wenye kufanya kazi kupaka rangi huko na kufanya stima, anauzia chakula. Bado hatujadhibitisha. Tuko na maofisa kutoka shirika la National Disaster Management Unit na pia National Disaster Operation Center ambao leo wametuitika mwito. Hapa nao it is a multi-sectoral operation. Ni operation inahusu vikosi mingi sana pamoja na wanajeshi wetu ambao sasa wanataka walete hili jumba chini ndio tuweze kujua. Kuna maumbo inaitwa sniffer dogs, iweze kunusa na tuweze kutafuta kujua ikiwa ni kweli hawa watu ambao wanasemekana hawajulikani mahali wako might there be trapped.
Now, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has acknowledged that accountants have a huge role to play in ensuring there is accountability of public funds while managing resources and revenue. Speaking during the ISPAC annual seminar, the Lady Justice has called on the professional team to call out corrupt incidents in their workspace and places, urging them not to cover up impropriety.
Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has asked accountants to shun covering up impropriety and rather call out corrupt incidences in the respective organizations that they work in. Mwilu says that accountants should put to an end audit fraud in both government and private entities by being accountable, which will lead to a reduction of case backlogs in the justice corridors.
As gatekeepers to the financial system, professional accountants are the first line of defense to prevent the misuse and misappropriation of public funds and the movement, transfer, or transaction in these illicit funds.
The Chief Justice spoke when she graced the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya's launch of this year's annual seminar in Mombasa County.
Whether it is the misuse or misappropriation of funds and resources, accountants in the justice sector institutions can stop systemic waste and corruption, ensure accountability for such incidences, put in place systems to prevent their recurrence, thereby stopping them from ever happening again.
The ISPAC 39th annual seminar will run until the 11th of November, where thousands of professional accountants will engage in idea sharing to suggest solutions to challenges facing global businesses practices.
I urge you, my colleagues, professionals, to deploy your professional skills to encourage leaders to direct their organizations towards achieving sustainable economic, social, and environmental performance.
The conference themed Role of Accountancy Profession in Creating Sustainable Business Practices will seek to identify the role of the accountants in warming up the economic sector that has seen many families struggle with basic needs occasioned by the high cost of living. The professional team has also identified drought and the Ukrainian war as the main catalyst to the current inflation trend, conceding that accountants need reskilling and retooling to hold a mandate in encouraging business growth in the country. Paul Munio, TV 47, Mombasa.
Let's count the cost. And the Tax Justice Network Africa, in collaboration with civil society organizations under the umbrella of Okoa Uchumi Campaign Coalition, today launched a study that assesses the fairness of Kenya's tax system in line with giving recommendations on how Kenya's tax system can be improved to meet the financing gaps for its development. Civil society organizations, professional bodies, and private sector representatives, while discussing Kenya's overall tax system, noted that less than 10 to 15% is being spent on essential sectors such as health and agriculture, with the latter contributing to 24% of the country's GDP.
And agriculture has been severely underperforming. It's less than 10 to 15%, especially agriculture. Agriculture has been averaging at around 2%. And the funny thing about agriculture is that it's such a major contributor towards our GDP. It contributes around 24% of our GDP. So it begs the question, why are we spending so little on an area that pretty much supports our economy?
In Kenya, is everybody who is having taxable income being taxed? Now, when the answer becomes no or neutral or just in the middle, then you can say, hey, this tax system is not fair. What is fair is theoretically there, but in reality, worldwide, globally, from any part of the world, there is not.
Now, Equity Bank has enhanced its PayPal withdrawal services by migrating from the previous web-based portal to Equity mobile app and Equity Online, Equity's internet banking platform. This shift, says the bank, that it will boost efficiency for Kenyans who receive payments through the international payment solution provider.
Currently, we are offering people through the web-based platform or the portal. But in our enhancement, we are migrating it to the Equity mobile app and the Equity Online. This is going to create convenience, access, and the speed of service to our customers. There are quite a number of advantages, and one of the advantages is that the customers now will be able to link and have the withdrawal service of people through the Equity mobile and Equity Online alongside other numerous offerings that are given through that platform. Equity Bank is going to be the only bank that is offering 24 hours PayPal withdrawal service in the country. And again, this is going to bring that access, speed of service, convenience, because customers can be able to transact using the PayPal platform wherever they are and in a given time. The other advantages the customers are going to get is they can be able to transact using the Kenya shillings and also the dollar. And this goes together with its availability is actually 24 hours. So at any given time, they can be able to withdraw using the PayPal platform.
Now, listed companies have been urged by the Nairobi Securities Exchange to adopt sustainability reporting mechanisms to enhance their profitability and investment attractiveness to local and foreign investors. Speaking during a deep dive session of the 6th edition of the Absa Africa Financial Market Index 2022, the NSE Chief Executive Officer said that due to the impact of the climate action agenda, investors are increasingly looking for more information around the level of environmental, social and governance compliance and asset allocation in listed companies.
Deliberate at the NSE towards encouraging firms to comply with ESG standards. So we released an ESG guidance manual last year that just provides you with a very simple to-do framework, so that you get away from doing the annual CSR and think you're ESG compliant and actually do things that can be measured around the environment, around the social communities, and around the governance.
I'm also delighted to note that our newly introduced Absa Kenya's Unit Trust Scheme recorded the fastest growth in the collective investment scheme sector in the quarter ending June, hitting 1.05 billion in assets under management. And ladies and gentlemen, that was in June. I'll tell you this figure